Okay, this is Why No Wikipedia page for me, Pete Rogers. And what I'm trying to tell you is the average person sort of thinks, oh, well, that's just the way things are, and what are you going to do? No, what you don't understand is things are forced to be. There's a certain amount of things that happen naturally, individual achievement and difference, but there's also a tremendous amount of stuff controlled from above. There's tons of doctors and so-called experts on the internet. They're nothing but fakes promoted by big money. Okay, I'm for real. I've rewritten the internal medicine textbooks, neurology textbooks. I've written about 30 books. I get hardly any reviews of my book. I'm totally shadow banned on the internet, and I'm shadow banned on the Amazon bookstore. Okay, I've written the best Christian art book. Look at all of them, all the survey books. Mine's the best by far. There's nothing even in comparison. All the other ones, a bunch of phony college professors that show you pictures of, stuff that, modern art, all this retarded crap. No Christian channel will interview me about my book or feature my book. The Christians tend to be very jealous and petty, and that's why they're so weak. They're the biggest religion in the world, 2.3 billion people, but they're still weak, and they're being genocided all over the world because they don't help each other. They don't stick together. Look at other ethnic groups. Somebody from a co-ethnic writes a book. They get all these reviews just from their co-ethnics, okay? Whereas the Christians ignore me, and my wife's friends would all ignore me. Not a single one would help me with my projects, okay? And my own friends, they're nice, but they don't do much. Okay, when it comes to internet presence, let's see, what else? I'm a real Christian, not a phony Christian. Not like, look at Jordan Peterson. He's a communist who doesn't even believe in God. He named his daughter after Mikhail Gorbachev. He used to work for all those, three-letter global communist corporations and organizations. He's a total phony. He's invited to all the Christian channels. He does a special on the Bible, gets millions of views. I read a book about it, give lectures on it, I get like a couple hundred views. Okay? He's promoted and invited all over the internet because he's a communist phony. Okay? If he was a real Christian, he wouldn't be promoted on the internet. Don't you understand that? I wish Christians would just sort of start using their brain and realize their situation, how precarious it is, and how they need to get involved one way or another if they're going to have any hope of not being genocided. The other thing, too, is you see all these phonies on the internet who say, well, I'm not really religious, but I'm spiritual. I like the medical medium, another phony. So, see, if you say you're spiritual, then you're open to everyone, okay? No, I'm not. I'm a Christian. I think non-Christian cultures are basically barbarians, okay? A lot of nice people, but I still think they're barbarians, okay? The Japanese, at least they behave nice. But, look at these cultures. They don't produce any art. Relative to their numbers, they usually produce hardly any science. Yeah, there's some exceptions, but not that much. They're not good at sculpture. They're not good at literature. They're not good at, so many things. Architecture, music. Most of what you call civilization is basically like saying Christian civilization. There's very little civilization that comes from other cultures. Let's be honest about it. Okay, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans were the foundation and the Old Testament stuff. But, okay, what else? I wrote the best study skills books. Good luck finding a better one, okay? If you're interested in study skills, read mine. You'll see I did every single thing in the books and it worked for me. I got the best health and nutrition YouTube channel on the whole internet. Name a better one that's not full of BS and promoting olive oil and all this nonsense, omega-3s and nuts and seeds and avocados and caffeine and all this other nonsense. I don't do any of that stuff. I have no sponsors. I don't promote anything. There's other really good channels. The other two best channels are Dr. McDougall's and Veg Source. And I can tell you, I got the top of the line doctors who tell me this stuff. This is not just my opinion. The doctors say to me, Pete, you have the best YouTube channel on the whole internet. We copy all your videos onto hard drives because we know it's the most valuable internet information. You and McDougall's website. And there's a lot of good stuff on VegSource too and a couple other channels too. Discovered the best theory of cognitive decline dementia. I should be world famous for that, but it gets hidden from the public. I have the best theory of spinal degeneration, both ischemic and biochemical. It's hidden from the public. I figured out the best theory of the role of mitochondria inhibitors in disease. No one knows about it. Okay, I made a couple lectures on it, but other than that, nobody knows about it. I kept alive the legacies like Dr. Sloop, Richard Moore, John McDougall's being swept under the carpet now. And there's some famous dentists, I'm working on doing that, of Lorraine Day and a lot of other great ones. Okay, so I'm part of trying to keep the truth alive. There's other people who are trying to keep the truth alive too. Jeff Nelson's trying to keep the truth alive over at VegSource, and there's a couple other places where they're trying to do it. Be Green with Amy, and a couple other places are too. But the low-fat vegan diet is the truth about health. The legacy continues with Kempner and Burkett and Pritikin, and it's being hidden from the public. What you're getting instead is the Mediterranean diet and the high-fat phonies and all this. They're the ones that get all the views, and then all the paleo, keto, carnivore, low-carb nonsense. Other things people say, well, you're not famous enough. And I would say, well, why am I not famous? because I'm shadow banned on the internet and on Amazon because they don't want me to become famous. Don't you get it? Okay? You know, they don't want Charlie Kirk to become famous. All right? They don't want people who are strong and smart and who want freedom for the world to become famous. Okay? So they shadow ban them as much as possible, and if they can't control them with shadow banning, like Andrew Tate, then they throw them in jail or something. And if they still can't control them after that, like, you know, Charlie Kirk, you know, he gets bumped off. Okay? That's kind of how it goes, in case you haven't figured it out yet. These video channels can take any person, the biggest freaking moron. Look how stupid most of the nutrition doctor videos are and nutrition videos. They're just stupid nonsense, okay? And those guys will have millions of views because they're shown to everybody all over the world. Somebody like me who tells the truth. You can go back to my very first video. I've never lied to you, not once. There's things I can't tell you because my channel would get taken off the internet. I can't tell you how bad chemotherapy is. There's things like that I cannot tell you. We're not allowed really to talk about it, and they won't let me talk about it. Okay, I've even approached talking about it, and those videos are taken down. I get a warning or something. Okay, so you can't say a lot of things on the internet. You just can't. In my books, you know, they can promote any book they want on the internet. And books like mine that tell you the truth and empower the pros, those are largely hidden from the pros. Only pretty smart pro can find me and find my books and find my videos. Okay. So you should not think things are happening randomly. If you think things happen randomly, then you have no capacity for thinking. You have to always be suspicious, always be skeptical. That enables you to see patterns and to figure out what's going on. But the Christians in general, they don't help each other much. They're kind of oblivious. They're kind of apathetic. They've been drinking fluoridated water all their life, so their IQs are lowered, and they're docile. They're sort of like these docile sheep being picked off one by one as they're destroyed. You know, they don't understand the consequences of their behavior and their actions, man. You open up the you-know-what down south, and what happens? You get a bunch of third-world primitive, you know, military-age men that come and, you know, knock the women over the head, take them into abandoned buildings and RAPE them. Okay, that's what you get with that, okay? You don't want that. You can't be a Christian and be part of this group, this hand. You know which hand that is, the LEFT. Okay, so then other people say to me, well, why did McDougal become so famous? He recommended a low-fat vegan diet, and I'll tell you why. He got in before things became so heavily censored, before the internet had this centralized control, before Amazon had centralized control of books. Nowadays, it's much easier to censor and shadow ban somebody because there's really kind of only one game in town. You know, there's YouTube and there's Amazon. Everything else is pretty weak. You know, you can go to other places like Rumble, but they don't have much of a you know, they cater to a certain type of crowd, but they don't have, you know, this big nutrition and health audience or anything. And McDougal, you know, they got him on Wikipedia. He's too famous now to completely hide him, so he's totally slandered on Wikipedia. And now that he's dead, they're trying to sweep his legacy under the rug. So anyways, I'm just telling you that's how it is. Not that anybody cares, but I just wanted to vent that, get that off my chest.